Okay, once again, welcome to each and every one of you. So we will begin our second session of Kids Performance Nutrition and Sports. Last time, we spoke about macronutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, etc. Today, we are going to speak about micronutrients. However, let us not think that micro, ya chotu, ya less, ya small. Actually, it is the micronutrients who are the key performers or who are the ones who aid or help in the utilization of most of the macronutrients. So why is there a need for these micronutrients? Before that, first of all, let us understand what are some of the micronutrients. So all of us are aware of the words vitamins, minerals, and so on. Very often we loosely use them and say, ताकत नहीं है क्या? थोड़ा vitamin खा. So why do we say that? Do vitamins give us energy? No. By themselves, they cannot give us energy. But then why are they required? Why are they associated with energy? The reason being that they are like those little switches. They are not the light, but they are the switch to the light. So when you put on the switch, the light comes on. So the vitamins are like that. The light is the carbohydrate, protein, and fat. But without the switch, it cannot be on. And therefore, these little tiny switches are needed. They are very, very much useful because the utilization of that energy, the getting of that energy from the carbohydrate, protein, fat, etc., is the job of these micronutrients. So you have two of them, two categories, basically vitamins and minerals. Now, the enzymes which are required to metabolize the macronutrients, that is the carbohydrate, proteins, and fats, they are dependent on the vitamins. They're also required for many sports functions to take place. For example, for developing your stamina, endurance, muscle, and bone activity, etc. So they are required for that. So all in all, micronutrients are needed for the welfare of the macronutrients, basically, so that the macronutrients can be better utilized.
देखना भाई, देखते ना क्या क्या करना। सुनना ठीक है, तू पढ़ फोन। अरे यार फिर से वैसे कर दिया।
So
Kindly
when
mute
we
yourself,
spoke
Shayan.
of the micronutrients, I told you there are broad categories of vitamins and minerals. Now, in the vitamin family also, they are classified or divided into two kinds. One are the water-soluble vitamins and the other are the fat-soluble vitamins. Now, let us not get worked up with these terms. What is a fat-soluble vitamin? These are vitamins who require a little amount of fat or some kind of a fat which they use as a vehicle or a carrier to reach their destinations. The water-soluble ones require fluid like water to reach their destination or their target tissue. Now, the fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. All of us have heard in the past 2 years, especially with the COVID and so on, about vitamin D. Everybody has heard. So we know about vitamin D. We also heard about A, and we know about E because a lot of it comes in advertisements for beauty products and so on, and K. So these are the basic 4 fat-soluble vitamins. Now let us look at vitamin A. The main function is to form new cells in the body. It is an antioxidant, which means it prevents oxidation of the numerous cellular cells that are there in the body, and also it is useful for the growth. It is also useful for repairing the muscles, especially for footballers after the game. Very, very useful. And what will happen then? The deficiency or lack of this vitamin will impact strength and stamina of the player. Now, where do we get this from? There are basically two major sources. One is an animal source and one is a plant source. The plant source, all of us have heard from childhood, eat carrots. Yes, from the word carrot comes carotenes. And these are a form of vitamin A, which ultimately may get converted into the actual vitamin A in the body. So all dark green leafy vegetables, orange fruits and vegetables are the vegetarian sources of carotene. What about the other vegetarian sources? You have unprocessed oils, ghani ka tel, or in the olden days, the people used to use unprocessed oils. So they did contain vitamin A, and that is why the color, the deeper the color of the oil is usually a reflection of the vitamin A content of the oil. Then, of course, different types of nuts, whether it is the poor man's badam, that is your peanuts, or true pine nuts, the extremely costly nut variety of nuts. So the entire array of nuts is there. You have eggs, especially the egg yolk, all yellow, orange colored fruits and vegetables, what I mentioned earlier. They are the source of vitamin A. Now, vitamin D, which is the next fat soluble vitamin. All of us again have heard about this vitamin because it was called as the sunshine vitamin. And therefore, what is its function? Basically for growth, bone strength, strengthening and making your bone strong. In India, there was traditionally a practice of applying oil on the child or the baby, or even sometimes you see even among bodybuilders, and they would sunbathe because this would assist in converting the inactive form of vitamin D into the active form. So it is required for muscle and bone strength, reduce when there is a deficiency, there is a reduction in the bone strength. The bones, in spite of calcium, will become weaker if there is a deficiency of vitamin D, and there is reduced stamina. So all in all, it highlights its importance for the footballers. Now, the sources are again non-vegetarian sources, mainly like eggs, organ meats, and in case of vegetarians, the whole fat dairy, which actually is classified as a non-vegetarian source because it is from an animal. However, in our country, it's a vegetarian food. So whole fat dairy, nuts again, different varieties of beans, leafy vegetables, and of course, sunlight. Now, sunlight doesn't contain vitamin D, but what it does is the inactive form of vitamin D, which is in the layer beneath our skin, gets converted into active form of vitamin D in the presence of sunlight. And it is sad that in a country which is full of sunlight, you have vitamin D deficiency. Then you come to the next vitamin, that is vitamin E. Now, basically, its main role is as an antioxidant. Especially, it helps the cells of the blood vessels. It leads to increase in stamina. The sources are nuts, seeds, grain, the germ layer of the grain, liver, especially chicken liver or goat liver, unprocessed oils again are a good source of vitamin E. The next is vitamin K. Now, vitamin K is known as the blood clotting vitamin. It helps in the clotting of blood. So, blood clots are not only for injuries, but internal also when there are small cells or blood vessels which may finish their life cycle, which burst. The clotting of these is very much dependent on the vitamin K intake. It is also crucial for muscle support and skeletal strength, which again highlights its importance for the champions. Sources are in the gut bacteria. They regenerate this by themselves in our stomach. The green leafy vegetables, whole grains, and non-vegetarian items like meat contain a good amount of vitamin K. So we are done with the fat-soluble vitamins. I repeat again, A, D, E, and K. Now we come to the water-soluble vitamins. They are a whole group of vitamins some of them classified under the umbrella of B complexes. You must have heard this term when the doctor prescribes a B complex along with antibiotics. So we are used to listening to B complex lena chahiye. Now, why do we need B complex? So B complex is not one thing, but it's a family of a number of vitamins, most of which, rather all of which are water soluble. Now, the main thing about water soluble vitamins is that they need to be replenished over and over again. The reason being that they don't have a specific storage site in our body. तो आज मैंने बहुत सारा thiamine खा लिया तो हफ्ते भर चलेगा ऐसा नहीं. It may go out of your body or it may be thrown out of your body if it is in excess via urine. So very often, if you have observed, if you are given a tablet or a capsule of a multivitamin or a B complex, when you pass urine the next day or after some hours, you will see that it is a very deep yellow color and sometimes it may give a peculiar odor also. That is the B complex odor. So it shows that B complex cannot be stored. So we require it almost on an everyday basis, unlike fat-soluble vitamins, which have certain areas of storage. Now, what is the main function of these three? Thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. Mainly, they help in utilization of energy. Now, by themselves, they do not contain energy. They do not give energy. But what did I tell you earlier? It is like the little switch. Only when you have put on the button or the switch will the light work. So the light is your fats, carbohydrates, proteins, which carry the energy or calories in them. And these vitamins are the little switches which help these fats, carbohydrates, and protein to release the energy in a particular way, which is called as metabolism, and they aid in metabolism. So utilization of energy, neurological health, very, very much important for our nerve endings. You often get symptoms like pins and needles if you sit for long. वो हाथ सुन्न हो गया, या you get a ticklish feeling in your extremities, especially because if you have a deficiency of these vitamins. It is useful for growth, of course, and for stamina. Then you have the other category of water-soluble vitamins, which are folate or folic acid, B12 and B6. Now, this again are in the limelight, especially B12. You must have heard your doctors say, check your B12 level, check your vitamin D level. Now, B12 in India, what happens is a majority of the Indian population are vegetarians or vegans who do not eat any non-veg food, or sometimes if they are vegans, they may not be having milk. And because of that, they have a deficiency of B12. So if you are a hardcore vegetarian, it is very important to see that you get vitamin B12 from sources, vegetarian sources like milk, curds, etc. Or sometimes you may have to take supplements of B12 if your B12 levels go very down. Folic acid, as the name suggests, foliage, folate, it is coming from everything that is green. Even if you think the धनिया पत्ता और कोथमीर हो, थोड़ा सा कोथमीर ऊपर से डाल दिया, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? But थोड़ा थोड़ा करके you are getting that green, and that green is going to give you folate and folic acid. And of course, B6 is again another vitamin which is coming from vegetarian sources. Now, these are important because basically they help in preventing certain types of anemias. And therefore, we have to ensure that you have sufficient intake of folic acid, B12, and B6. So they are required for growth, health of your neurons or your nerves, neurotransmitter synthesis, it is very important, stamina, strength, and repair. Now, what are the sources of all these B complexes? One of the best sources is whole grains, cereals, and pulses, including millets. This is the International Year of Millets. Now, what are millets? These are our regular, good, old cereals which we were consuming in India, like jawar, bajra, makai, ragi, nachni, jaw, then your sama. All these are different types of millets, and which we stopped consuming, or rather we reduced consuming them because of our lifestyle. And it just so happened that we turned towards more of maida and atta and so on, and we gave up on these. And whole grain cereals we stopped incorporating in our diet. So we should again start having whole grain cereals and pulses, nuts and seeds, vegetables, milk and dairy products, meat, eggs, fish, and liver. And let me highlight over you here the importance of sprouting. Sprouting increases the B complex content of the pulses and even whole grain. So you can sprout even gehu, even nachni. They can be sprouted, malted, and these become very rich sources of B complexes. B complex is also present in yeast. In the good old days, when B complex vitamins were not manufactured, yeast tablets used to be given as a source of B complex for those who had deficiency. So we again remember sprouting can help in getting us the required B complexes. Now we come to another important vitamin which does not belong to the family of B complex but is a water soluble vitamin, and this vitamin is to be replenished on a day-to-day basis almost, because as important that it is also a chui mui. Chui mui in the sense it gets lost very fast. So we have abundance of vitamin C available in all green vegetables, in fact, tomatoes and so on. But what do? टमाटर को इस तरह पकाते हैं कि वो बेचारा अपनी आइडेंटिटी भूल जाता है. Bhuno, 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 bhuno. That is our cooking. So the tomato, even though it is rich in vitamin C is so sensitive to heat and storage and so on that it's immediately lost. So what do? We ensure that we have at least a glass of nimbu pani every day. If not, at least squeeze lemon on our food. Dal ke upar nimbu we can squeeze. On salad we can squeeze. We can make it a habit that if there are 4 members in a family, every day at least we should consume 4 lemons. Each, har ek ke naam ek nimbu aana chahiye ghar pe. And we ensure that it is consumed in one form or the other. And that is how you will ensure that vitamin C intake is sufficient. So what does it do? Collagen formation, very important for the body, for the muscle, bones, and your tissues. Again, I need not highlight its role for the footballers. Antioxidant, vitamin C for all cell rejuvenation, muscle repair, and to give immunity. This was one word which was like, absolute, a gospel word which was used during the pandemic. And we realized the importance of building immunity, and vitamin C is one of the vitamins which will build up your immunity. You have to be healthy to be able to play on the field. Even if you play in the rain, you cannot afford to catch a cold. Your immunity has to be high, and therefore vitamin C is something that you should go to. Sources are all citrus fruits, citrus vegetables, in fact, all fruits. Plus, you have even some of it in fruit vegetables, like I told you, tomatoes, even in green vegetables. And the only thing is that the sources, the amount may differ from vegetable to vegetable. Now, amla or the Indian gooseberry is the richest source of vitamin C. And therefore, even when amla is cooked to make chawanprash, you have sufficient vitamin C in it. In the olden days, amle ka murabba, chawanprash or jeevan used to be made at the home level. So you can start consuming one amla every day in one form or the other. If you don't want to have it with the sugary preparation of murabba, you can also make chutney of amla with little coriander, green chili and salt, and you will get good amount of vitamin C. Then of course, guava. People run to exotic fruits Now, I'm not against those fruits, but what I'm trying to tell you is that when our good old guava is a rich source of vitamin C, we don't have to run to kiwi or any of those fruits, because at the end of the day, they are expensive. And if they are going to get the same thing in guava, and of course, for your taste and for other things, it's fine to have a platter of vegetables and fruits, but you cannot ignore the guava. Then fresh vegetables, sprouts, all these are good sources of vitamin C. So this is the story of the vitamins. I repeat again, fat soluble A, D, E, K, water soluble or the B complexes, and the vitamin C. Now we come to the other section of our micronutrients, that is minerals. Now we have among the minerals those which are required in a slightly more amount and those which are required in absolutely little amount. But their requirement does not decide their role or their function or their importance. For example, iodine. The amount of iodine that we require in a day is so small that it can stand on a pinhead. It's not even a pinch. It's less than that. But if that amount of iodine is not available to us, we can get into a number of thyroid and goiter and other related issues of iodine deficiency. What I'm trying to highlight is that very often it is not the quantity of a nutrient that is needed which decides its importance, but the function and the role that it plays in the body. So each of these micronutrient, is relevant and important because each of them have a designated role to play in our body. Coming to the most, looked up to, that is iron. So iron requirement is mainly for the delivery of oxygen to every tissue. So if your iron is low, you start feeling tired. Your attention span goes down. You are sleepy. Whatever has been spoken does not reach your brain. After 20-25 minutes, you are done. That is because the oxygen carrying capacity or of the cell of the blood to the brain is reduced. Then it is required for neuronal development. That means brain and the nerves. It's a part of your muscle tissue. It improves immunity and therefore very, very crucial for all kinds of sports persons, even and especially footballers. Now, where do you get it? Whole grains, again, cereals, millets. Millets like nachni, rajgira, etc. are a good source of iron, calcium, and some of the other micronutrients. Whole pulses like your black chana, especially. There is a trend among certain groups of people in Punjab that when they give their wheat to grind, they grind some black chana along with it. The roti looks blackish in color, darkish in color, but it is very high in fiber and they are ensuring protein and iron every day because roti is a food which is consumed every day. So some of these traditional practices were for betterment of nutrition. Of course, you have green leafy vegetables, especially if you consume dill or shepu or suwa. It's like needle-like shape, thin sabzi, suwe ki sabzi or shepu. Very, very high in iron. Of course, spinach, chaule or amaranth, drumstick leaves or moringa leaves. Again, they are very high in iron. But we have to remember, taste bhi aana chahiye, bachche ne khana bhi chahiye. So, looking into all that, we can tell you later on when you look at our sets, recipes which are tasty and which are rich in these micronutrients, which are easy to prepare with the ingredients at hand, which you can utilize. Then, of course, you have non-vegetarian sources, mainly the organ meats like the liver and so on. And of course, the other regular meat also is a rich source of iron. And garden cress seeds. Garden cress seeds are very popular in Maharashtra. They are called as halim. And usually postpartum, after the baby is born, the mothers are given preparations made of this garden cress seeds. They look a little like jeera and like they puff up like sabja, but it is not sabja, it is halim. and that is mixed with coconut, jaggery, and made into sweet, or you can have it, added to your nimbu pani also. It just puffs up and you can consume this ali or garden cress seeds. Then you come to calcium. Everybody has heard about calcium and bone. Of course, they go hand in hand. So all the more important that your champion has a sturdy calcium intake so that his bone structure in the growing years, especially when the child is growing, he is attaining his height, he is also requiring the strength to kick the football. The bones have to be really strong and aligned. Calcium cannot be ignored at all. So bone strength, muscle function, stamina, all this requires calcium. Again, you have whole grains, especially Rajgira is a very good source. Dairy, all of us know, milk products, curd, chas, lassi, paneer, all these are good sources of calcium. In fact, even cheese, even though cheese is a little fatty in nature, but it is also a good source of calcium. Nuts and seeds, different variety of seeds. You do see nowadays preparations of 5 seeds, multi-seeds, 7 seeds. So in the olden days, our mothers and grandmothers used to, remove the seeds from the pumpkin, wash it, dry it, and then we would be on a lazy afternoon reading our Enid Blytons and eating and munching those pumpkin seeds. Today, they are readily available. You don't have to really make such a big effort, but we miss on it, not because we don't know, but somehow it is on the back burner. So nuts and seeds are a very good source when somebody is little hungry, you just want to munch, you want to just have something. That is a very good way of giving it to your child. Green leafy vegetables, again, a good source of calcium. Magnesium. Magnesium and sports are two things which are inseparable because a lot of sportsmen's cramps, muscle pulls, etc., can be related to magnesium deficiency. It helps in energy production, muscle contraction, and it helps in releasing energy which is stored in the muscle. If you recollect last time when we spoke of energy and carbohydrate, we had said liver and muscle glycogen. And that magnesium is helpful over here, especially for footballers because their calf muscles, leg muscles are all being used all the time in the field. And therefore, it is very imperative that the magnesium intakes are proper. Sources are whole grain cereals again, nuts and seeds, and a number of non-vegetarian foods. Zinc. We heard of zinc a lot again during the pandemic because again it is one of the minerals which helps in building immunity other than growth and sexual maturation, which means during the adolescent years, the growing years, intake of zinc helps the body to fulfill all the growth related requirements of the body. And therefore, zinc is important. Muscle building, again, for footballers and sports people, muscle building is something that they have to, give their attention to, cannot be ignored. And thus, it is indirectly required for stamina building and for strength. Now, where do you get zinc? Again, back to nuts, seeds, and vegetables. These are good sources of zinc. So I think we are done with the micronutrients, that is your vitamins. I repeat, fat soluble, water soluble, micronutrients like iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc. These were majorly the ones we have covered. There are a number of other micronutrients like selenium, like I mentioned, iodine, like manganese, and so on and so forth. Now,
Devon,
I
can you mute
hand
yourself?
over the second part of this session to Vibha.
Yeah, welcome everyone. I'm just starting. Meanwhile, you can just take a breather. Okay, till I just get settled. Yes. Hello, everybody. How are you all today? All well? Can I see a thumbs up from you all? Just to know whether you're there or not. Yes, Arpreet, thank you. So I've been told by Arpreet sir that the under 11 has won the game, and under 13 has won the season's championship trophy, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? Yes. So congratulations to you all from Dr. Mitra and me. It was really great to read that message. So you all are truly champions, the
This
players, the coaches, and the caretakers.
was a private
And
tournament.
with a little bit more inputs into your efforts and into your nutrition, I think you're going to just absolutely soar. uh, Asra has raised her hand. Do you want to say something, Asra? If you wish to, you can unmute and speak. If Asra wants to speak, please unmute and speak.
No,
Yes,
no,
Asra.
sorry, it was by mistake.
Not able to hear you.
Ma'am, she said it was by mistake.
It was by mistake. I'm so sorry.
All right. Right now, I'm not able to hear you, but we'll take the questions or your comments in the end. All right. So, so on that very heartening note, we will go ahead. We will talk about the other parts. We've looked at micronutrients. We'll talk about hydration, uh, supplementation, as well as the lifestyle that we need to pay attention to so that we are able to deliver the best as a young footballer, as a champion. Right, going ahead to so we look at hydration and some key aspects to it. So at the outset, what we want you to remember is that, why hydration is important for us. I think all of us know it. We may not practice it per se, but I think we are all aware that hydration is crucial and it's important. So first of all, how do we know? We don't want to kind of scientifically test every time with relation to hydration. It has to be a quick, easy method. So how do we get to know whether we are hydrated or not? Right. The first thing is urine volume. Enough urine volume and the right color. So we'll come to that. We need to get the color right, and I think it should be second nature for you that if we look at the color and say, is that okay or not, and am I drinking enough water? We can also test the urine pH and the specific gravity. That is also possible. But just by looking at the enough volume and color, that's good also. So that is a marker of hydration for us. So why is it that footballers should be looking at hydration very importantly? So we come back to the fact that we are 70% plus made of water. So, and this water that we say is not just that it is there in our blood vessels, but it is also there in every cell. So every cell has about 70% and more water. And in between cells also there is fluid, and the water component is there, which means that the chemical reactions which are occurring in the cell, the muscle contraction which is occurring, everything will depend on actually how much water there is. So water, though we kind of negate it, or we may not pay attention to it, and we may not be mindful about it, but it is one of the very key components. So why, how does hydration help? Good hydration status help the footballer, because if the hydration status is good, means blood volume is adequate and there is enough blood going to every muscle while the game is on, while the training is on. So that's so important, that if the muscle contraction has to be right, if the nerve tissue has to work well, the cells have to be hydrated. And also we are looking at both the training, the game, as well as a young footballer. Y'all, this group here is also growing. So what is growth exactly? That new cells are formed. And when new cell is formed, of course, water is part of it. So if we want to address the growth and an optimum performance, it's very important that we look at the adequate amount of water. Not only that, a footballer's body will naturally have more muscle because you are, just by the nature of your training, you train very hard and you train for long hours. And just because of that, if we compare your body composition with a non-athlete, your body composition will automatically have some amount of muscle more than the rest. And muscle is containing more water. So if the muscle component is more, we want more muscle to be, increased. The muscle has to increase, the muscle recovery has to take place, muscle has to increase in size. The water component is very much required. So hydration is something that we may have not thought of very deeply till now, but it is so important to pay extreme attention to it. And you have a checklist that every time you're avoiding urine, you must check and see what is the color and is there enough urine pass. Are you feeling thirsty? Is your throat parched? Are you drinking enough water? Extremely crucial. So going ahead to the urine color. Okay, so on the screen you can see what is the color, where it's a light straw color is what is good. Okay, so this may appear slightly different on each of the on your screens, but the very good is a light straw color. Okay, and then post that you can see good and fair, it gets darker. All right, so we don't want it absolutely like water, which means there is something wrong with the kidneys, but it will have a little color, but light straw color, that is what you are aiming for. So if you see that sometimes, like when you're going to school and at that time your urine is a little darker color, which means mindfully you have not been consuming water. And I think for footballers, you may want to take special permission from your teachers to keep sipping water, because somehow, I don't know why, but many schools, I maybe not all, but in just sharing based on experience, schools are very particular. No, you cannot drink water. If you're, only in the break, you can drink water. You can drink water only if you ask the teacher, and you can drink water only between one class to the other. So if you can please ask for special permission that you need to be drinking water so that the urine volume is right and the color is right and you are hydrated. Okay, so when you're training and when you're going for the game, we have to be hydrated right from the beginning. So if your game is in 2 days, okay, the hydration starts right now. We will actually talk about pre-game and post-game hydration in the next webinar, but I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that these are things that you already start working on, that when you start the training itself, you're hydrated. The days in between the game, you are hydrated. Okay, so hydration is the way of being. Don't gulp water, because it's not like, all right, oh, I forgot to drink water, so let me kind of just make up for it. I was supposed to drink, let me make up for it. It's not like that, right? Because what happens when we gulp water, or we take large amounts of water, it's suddenly, water is absorbed very fast. So it's suddenly there in the bloodstream, and therefore it is filtered out as urine. It doesn't stay within the body much for it to be taken up by the cells. So therefore it's better if we keep sipping small amounts over the 24 I will say 12 hours, because 12 hours or 11 hours, hopefully you're sleeping. Yeah, if you're not on screen. Yes. So so during that time, we are kind of sufficiently taking the water as sips, not gulps. And how much of water? Maybe 2.5, 3 liters is what you're going to look at. So you have to have that, I'm going to drink this 1 bottle of water, 1 liter in this much time, another liter in so much time. If there is a game, then the amount of water that goes in is more. So that adjustment is something that you have to do. So in a day, you are looking at 2.5 liters plus additional water when you are having a game day, pre-game, during the game, and very importantly, post-game. Very important to consume water. Can we have beverages? I think that may be a question. Are beverages fine? Yes, beverages are good, but it should not be concentrated. So that's what happens with sugar-laden beverages. Agar aap, a sharbat is one example. highly sweetened lassi is another example, or colas, or soft drinks is another example, because they all contain very high amount of sugar. So the purpose is defeated. It feels great when we are sipping it. At that time it feels really nice in the throat, it's tasty, but the moment it enters the stomach, because it's concentrated, it will draw water from the blood to dilute it. So the whole purpose is actually lost here. So let it be dilute. There has to be there can be calories, yes, but some beverages like even buttermilk is great, coconut water is great, light panna is great. Okay, so these are some of the things we can make at home. Everything doesn't have to be bought, everything doesn't have to be commercial. Certain things from home is absolutely fine also to maintain the hydration status. So nourishing dilute beverages are the best. Why? Because especially this during the day also, in between games also, and this is especially during, before the training, during training, before the game, during game, very important, because what we lose in sweat is not just water. What we lose is electrolytes. So we're talking of sodium, potassium, right? Electrolytes are lost along with water. And also what we lose are some minerals. Best example here is magnesium. Some magnesium is lost, some zinc is lost. So we are taking that in, eating the magnesium, etc. But because during the game we are sweating profusely, we are losing it, losing magnesium, losing some zinc, losing some, even some vitamins in the sweat. And therefore, our performance gets a little, can get a little compromised. So, I think you had a lecture on electrolyte formulations, all right? So that's fine. If you want to use that as a hydration status, as a hydration tool, that is all right. Because if it also has electrolytes, it has some magnesium, some zinc, that's great because it replenishes. So I'm not saying that that's the only thing that we need to take. We have a choice. You can use some beverages which are homemade, like buttermilk, because it has the electrolytes, or some calcium, magnesium. You can use coconut water. So those nimbu pani you can use, which is again excellent. So you could use some of that, and some of it may be the ready-made electrolyte solutions which are available, whichever brand it may be. And as long as it has some electrolytes, it's not having very high sugar, a 6% sugar is fine, and it is having minerals in it, it's absolutely fine. So during training, during game, and in between, all of this, when you're sweating, it's better to take not just fluid, it's better to take electrolytes plus minerals. Then moving on to the next topic. So we've covered hydration. So we'll take some questions if you have a little later. You're free to put the questions in the chat also. We look at supplements, all right? Just give me one moment. I'll just have a sip of water. Speaking of hydration.
Ms. Vibha, can you mute gentleman in JK? Not sure who this is.
Mr.
Ms. Vibha, can you mute them?
Right. So, so the next topic is supplements, and I think we are all in a quandary here. Sometimes should we give supplements or not? What is the right way to work that? So, are supplements needed? We can use it. So I just want you to have an open mind here that supplements are nothing but nutrients. Okay, so one way to give the nutrients is through food, which is actually the best way, because it's organic and it's easy to, the body can assimilate it well, and not very expensive. So that's one of the best ways to give. But what if there is a deficiency? Right, and we have to catch these deficiencies early. So many times in India, girls have iron deficiency very rampant, and not only girls. We currently are seeing this in boys also. Because when you're looking at footballers, the need for iron is more, because the amount of utilization is high. And therefore, if you're not nourishing our bodies, could there be a deficiency? Yeah, there could be. So if there is a deficiency, then to take care of the deficiency, just food is not enough. we will have to use supplements, right? So then, of course, you can use supplements. Suppose you have an increased requirement, which the person is not meeting from eating, from food, whatever reason. Sometimes people do not have very good appetite. Sometimes
Sorry, can I just ask you to
or
pause? There's a person who's
schedule, maybe it's not convenient sometimes to prepare those things which are required. So we'll have to find a way around it. So yeah, when there's increased requirement which cannot be met, through food, yes, we look at supplements. When intake is inadequate, we look at supplements, and sometimes we look at supplements to better performance also. Yeah. So therefore,
JK, can
these
you
are the
unmute
times
yourself?
that
Mute yourself, sir.
you're not. All right, all right. Are you not able to hear me well?
No, just mute JK, no, please.
Okay. I just read your message. So just unmute and tell me if you're able to hear me well. And JK will in JK, I'm requesting all to keep yourselves muted. Are you able to hear me now? Just tell me on chat.
Yes, ma'am.
Or you show me a thumbs up so I know.
Yeah, if we can request you to just repeat the last slide, please, because
All right, you can hear me. Yes.
yeah.
All right, just give me a moment.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right. So if in case I'm not audible, you will have to tell me right away so that we can. Yes, I will repeat the last slide. Last slide is supplements. All right, so I'll repeat that. All right. So we are saying that, the question was, when are supplements required? All right. So I just want to talk about the fact that, when we are, a person is eating enough, right, then it's all right. But just give me a moment. All right. Okay. So I just got the message that people are unmuted and therefore it's disturbing. So I'm going to request all to kindly mute yourselves. Yeah. And I'm also going to be speaking louder, and I'm going to repeat this slide because you could not hear it very well. All right. So the thing is, are supplements required or not? It may be required under some circumstances. Okay, so it's very important for us to see what are those circumstances. One, when there is a deficiency. In India, we see girls, especially, for example, having iron deficiency, anemia, right? And also boys, especially boys who are athletes, girls and boys who are athletes, because the requirement of the nutrient is much higher with a person who's an athlete. And therefore, if they are not eating enough, there can be a deficiency. It is there. It is quite possible. And we have to acknowledge that, yeah, there is a problem. There could be a problem, and we may require that support of a nutrient. So supplements are nothing but nutrients, which is given in a concentrated form. And therefore, we, that may be the time that we want to use it. Sometimes the requirements are high and we are not able to meet it through food. Sometimes a person is not able to eat enough, because possibly very, very tight schedules, not, very, not having the convenience to kind of prepare it for that particular period of time. Or we can use supplements to better performance. So all of these aspects are there where we can use supplements, but it has to be an informed decision. It is best that you get a consultation with your nutritionist to understand which supplements and what dosage, because right now when I'm seeing this group, we have right from under 11 to 17 years of age. The requirement is different and the dosages of supplements are also different. But be open to this, yes, and where required, we can suggest. So what kind of supplements are we, kind of looking at? So I just want to make a point here that first choice is food. Okay, we will look at food, but supplements as required. Now, some of the supplements that you can look at is a multivitamin, multimineral supplement. Now, if it's a under 12, we give pediatric doses. 12 plus, we can even give adult doses. It is all right. So if it's a child under 12, we use pediatric doses. So you please consult with a nutritionist or your doctor to suggest a right dose of multivitamin, multimineral. Why? Because Dr. Mitra so beautifully explained the micronutrients which are required. And what a multivitamin, multimineral does is that, the lacunae which is there in the gaps which are there in the diet can get taken care of by one multivitamin, multimineral cover. So we're not saying that, ठीक है, कम खाओ अगर multivitamin खा रहे हो. No, we're saying that eat very well, but these gaps, if required, if you think there are times that you're not able to eat well, if you think there are days, you're not able to put the nutrition plan together, then this is an adjunct. This is a help that we require. We also look at standalone supplements. So one is a multivitamin, multimineral. Sometimes we may require a calcium supplement. If there's an iron deficiency, we require a supplement, most definitely. But I will suggest that you talk to your nutritionist to get a right iron supplement, because, iron supplements also lead to constipation. So with the right iron supplement, with a lower dosage iron supplement, that will not happen. You may want to look at zinc. So someone has asked me on the group that, my boy is not hungry, he's not eating. So one of the, functions of zinc is also in appetite. It betters appetite. So maybe we can look at a zinc supplement or a multivitamin, multimineral for the child there, because when zinc goes in, and of course you please change the things that you're giving him, whole grains, whole grains, nuts, vegetable fruit. When you change that, the moment we change from roti to bread, whole wheat atta to bread, the iron and the zinc is lost. It's so as simple as that. In 3-4 times a day, if the child was having roti or chapati, that is wheat or bajra or jawar, and we drop some of that and convert that into bread, iron, zinc, selenium, magnesium, a lot of minerals are lost because it does not have as much of it. It's lost in processing. So just change the diet, and zinc may help here to get the appetite going there, so that, we are able to put in what is required for the body. Then vitamin C. Now, of course, you can give vitamin C from foods, but adding a chewable or a ingestible vitamin C, about 250 to 500 milligrams is absolutely fine, because as it was explained by Dr. Mitra, vitamin C is needed for the muscle to form, right? So if vitamin C adequacy is not there, it will not happen. And when we play, there's a lot of inflammation, and the body is working very hard, and to reduce that inflammation, vitamin C will help. So that's a supplement that you can use, and they're water soluble supplements, so it's not going to be toxic. Nothing will happen. I want to reassure you of that. The question is, oh my God, kya hoga? Toxicity hoga, No, not. Eat well. First, eat well. But where required, you take that. It's water soluble. If you don't need it, it is out in the urine. Okay, so be assured that, but don't do it on your own. Just go and picking up a supplement. Do it under a consultation, do it under guidance, so that, you are taking the right dosage. Then is omega-3. We spoke last class about omega-3. Oh my God, sorry, 9:30 and more to talk. Okay. So we spoke about omega-3 last webinar, and if you're not able to deliver the omega-3, then maybe that supplement is something which is good. Okay, so relook at it. Protein is a supplement you can take, all right. One of it is whey. Whey is very good to take as a supplement because it's after post-workout. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, not tomorrow, next week. Whey is very easily digested and absorbed. So the body, after the game or the training, when the body muscle has broken down, whey will help in repairing it very quickly. So that's fine to take. We right now get a lot of plant protein supplements, also peas, soya beans. So these are also things to give. But I just have a word of caution when it is younger children. Okay, so up to 12 or 13, the protein requirement is not very high. So do not use an entire scoop of whey in a 9-year-old's shake. Okay, a 9-year-old will need only half scoop of whey. right? Or lesser plant protein because they don't need as much protein. But if it's a 15-year-old or a 17-year-old, of course, that one scoop of whey is fine, right? Of course, we will also discuss in the next webinar how to get the protein post-workout from food. But this is one of the most effective proteins which has been proven by research. Then you may want to look at pre and probiotics, because what we have currently, what research is telling us is that, the gut health of sports persons can get compromised, and that can affect performance. So, of course, we include curd and yogurt and, a lot of fruit and vegetable and grains. When you do that, the gut health is maintained. But for a while, suppose there has been an infection, okay, and you've had an antibiotic, and which has destroyed the bacteria in the gut, then maybe a probiotic is something for some period of time that you can take. And if required, fiber supplements. So why I'm saying this is, I'm not sure you can kind of, share if it's all right with you. Many athletes and many sports persons, children especially, suffer from constipation. It's a issue. It's a big issue for them because somehow they are not taking care of the hydration status. They're not drinking enough water. They're perspiring. They are losing water, and they're not eating enough fiber. So fiber supplement, you can look at soluble fiber is the best, but please ensure you're taking enough fiber, enough water, and so that, the constipation is not an issue for you. So going ahead to the next and the last topic here is that, what is the lifestyle that we are supposed to have? So, when we talk of nutrition, it's a balance, okay? It's not just about food, because I'm sure you're not thinking about yourself as being only the body, right? We are not just the body. We are the body, we are the mind, we are the emotions, and we are the spirit, soul. We are everything. And our health is never just what we are eating. It is also how we are living. So we at nutritionwithvibha.com use the term nourish. Okay, we are not saying diet, we're saying nourish. So nourishment is not just, or only food. That is a very big part of it. But nourishment is also our lifestyle. What are we, how are we treating our body, right? And for a footballer, I think we have to be in reverence to that body, because it is a body which is giving us that space to do what we want to do. I think all the footballers here, you love playing football. Am I right? Yeah, it's your passion, and it gives you a high, and you're so joyful when you're playing football, and the body allows you to do it. And therefore, how are we treating that body becomes very important. Are we treating that body shabbily, chalta hai, and you expect that body to work? ठीक है, करने दो काम उसको, like a slave. Are we a slave driver there? Or are we in reverence, taking care of our body as our friend, and giving that nourishment to the body? So that's something for us to think about. But a sports person, so if you look at all of the sports persons who are successful, your role models, all right, Ronaldo, for example, or any other who are successful, they have a very, very nourishing lifestyle. They know better than to treat their body in a negative way, right? And that is one of the biggest learnings we have to take from them, that they are in that position. They can do whatever that they want, and they can live however, but they will not. They will take care of their body because they revere their body. They know it is their body which is giving them this beautiful success and the joy of playing football. So I just want to kind of put your minds to this, how are we sleeping? What is our sleep hygiene? Very important. So right from today, please start changing it. So for up to 17 years of age, okay, your sleep is not just 8 hours. I've written here 11 to 8 hours, okay? So ideally, even you can sleep up to 11 hours, right? So, or at least a 9-hour sleep is something that you have to get. So I also want to specifically talk to the parents that, we also stress a lot on academics, and we say that nahi jaldi utho, kam soge to chalega, you know, theek hai na, kya hai, hum log bhi karte the, kam हम 4 बजे उठ के पढ़ते थे, and you can sleep for, it's already, you can sleep for 4 hours and 5 hours, it's all right, but you have to study. Okay, so parents also say that, and children and the teens, we are I mean, I have 2 grown up kids at home, so I completely know how it is. We want to you know, look at uh, some, you know, enjoying some screen time, being with friends, chatting, and therefore our sleep time is compromised. So that is something that we have to kind of really take care about. Remember, do not have coffee 6 hours prior to sleep time. Screen time should be minimized before sleeping. Try and go into the darkest, you know, like less light before sleep, because of course it's completely another lecture. I don't want to go into that, but, and it's a fascinating one, because a circadian rhythm which is there, you know, when there's dark, we tend to sleep in a more peaceful manner. Get up in the morning and look at the sun, because that stimulates some hormones, melatonin, which induces sleep in the evening. So it's produced in the morning, and then it, you know, in sleep is induced in the night faster. So drink a cup of milk, maybe with haldi in the night, because milk has tryptophan, which induces sleep. So be peaceful about sleep. Get your, you know, at least 9 hours of sleep. If you're able to get 11, wonderful. And parents to support their children, you know, in sleeping well. Okay. Screen time, please moderate. I don't have to tell you this, all right, because it's going to affect the lifestyle, definitely. So we are moderating it. We're not saying remove it, but we moderate it. Stress management is very important. We need eustress. Eustress is the right kind of stress. You need to be slightly stressed to play that game. Okay, so we need the right stress, that right competitive spirit. You're determined, you're working for it, you know, that kind of stress is great. But obsessing here and worrying is not all right. So this is for the champs and for the coaches and for the parents, that, you know, if you want to see great performance, we have to have a support which is helping with stress management. So being more mindful, being also doing joyful things, having a life balance. Okay, there has to be friends, there has to be enjoyment. Work it into your schedule. The moment we schedule everything, it will get better. All right, so those are some of the things that also we want to say. And lastly, coming to the champions mindset, the mindset is to nourish, which we just spoke about. So we are mind, body, everything, and we nourish with good food. We avoid substances, alcohol. I'm talking to the older boys, if at all. You know, we do not do substances because we revere our body and we honor our body temple. We are positive. That's very important. I think as a sports person, that's something innate within us, but always we choose positivity, we choose optimism. We are determined, we have the will to get it done, and most of all, we have the faith that, you know, what we are doing is good, and you know, the universe is backing us, and we are getting things done in the right way. So that faith of doing things right is something that we have to look at also. So I want to just go over the affirmations once again here with us. I will request everyone to say this in your mind with me as I'm reading it out. You can also read it on your screen, and take a screenshot and keep this with you and say it, because when we say it, we are the ones who hear the most. So your ears are the closest to your mouth. Okay, so all right, these are for the champions. I renew my commitment to my body to fully support my efforts in my performance. I build my body through training and nourishment to become the best version of my abilities. I nourish my system and I work every day to keep it the strongest it can be. I choose nutrients in every meal to support my body's efforts to keep me healthy. This is for the caregiver, because I think, it's not easy being a caregiver. It's tough. Day in and day out, caring for the food and, supporting. It's a big job. Salute to you all. We can see the success partly, which is your, you need to take the accolades for that also. So I understand the role of nutrition and good food choices in my child's football journey. I commit myself to supporting my child's performance in the best way possible. I look to making my kitchen a bustling place that designs healthy meals to nourish the footballer in my child. I reject opting out for wrong choices of food for my child. I choose to nourish the young footballer in my care and support the beautiful journey as a team. Yeah. So the vision to hold on to is, we are trained, we are nourished, we are unstoppable, we are champions, we are committed to health, and we're committed to the best performance. And as we shared last time, Nutrition with Vibha is committed to bettering sportspersons' performance by improving nutrition. And we have created a self-empowerment tool, which is an educational program for young footballers in India. And we also offer one-on-one personalized consultations. So we are committed to bettering your performance, but we need your support for it. So you please visit our website and just look at the set or the self-empowerment tool that we have in the consultation program we have, if you think so necessary. But we need your support because, for getting this done, we need your feedback, your ratings and reviews. So we will be sending you a link for the review of what you have experienced, and give us a nice, beautiful rating with a good heart and a good review, so that we can continue doing our work in the best way possible. So our next webinar is on pre and post workout meals. Very important. Today we had about 35 people. So I request Arpreet sir and the coaches to get your people to come for this, because it makes a big difference if you change the pre and post workout meals. So we're expecting to see a larger number here, and staying till the end. And it's on 13 September, same time. And yes, looking forward to everything. So at this point, I do not see anything on chat as a question, but if you have any questions, you are free to unmute and speak. We can take, I think, maybe 1 or 2 questions we will take now. We've overshot the time by 15 minutes, but yeah. We are most happy to partner with you on your optimum performance journey. So any questions here? Even coaches, Prajwal, and if Arpreet sir or someone wants to ask, we are here.
Yeah, let the parents or the players ask any questions that they have first.
All right. I think there are no questions. So everything is very, very clear to you. And so therefore, let us end here. And what we will do next time is, before we start, we will take a recap, a discussion from you with, maybe we can take a few questions in the beginning, and we will also do a recap of what we spoke about last webinar and this webinar, and we start from there. So if it's all right, then we will end the session here. Arpreet sir and Prajwal, do let me know. Shall we end then?
Yeah, I mean, since nobody has asked a question, I'll ask a question so that maybe somebody else can ask one. So in terms of like for a 10-year-old, would you recommend
All right. So I'm
isolate?
so then we end the session, and good night to everyone, and we'll see you in the next session.
Can you hear me,
Bye-bye.
Miss Pippa?